Hey team, Coach Dana Cavalea here, and I think we could all agree that our emotions can be very costly if they're not managed correctly. So I have a real fun, well, I consider it fun. You may not consider it fun, but I hope you consider it enlightening webinar, very short for you to understand the cost of emotion. And I use an example of Jose Altuve, who's a player, a great player in Major League Baseball with the Houston Astros. So I hope you find it enlightening. I hope you can put it into practice. There's a three-step method that I put with it. It focuses on breathing, acknowledgement, and focus. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you find it useful for your day to day and your quest as you go on to dominate the fourth quarter of 2020. Enjoy, and I'll see you later. Bye. I want to give you a little lesson this week. I think it's a good one because, well, I put it together. But no, in all seriousness, I think emotional identification is something that we got to be very aware of because, for most of us, we have talent, we have ability. The biggest thing that takes us over really and dominates us in moments of pressure and even for some moments of silence when it's quiet is our emotion. So getting on top of our emotional state is super super important. And I wanted to bring this up because this week, during the MLB playoffs, some of you may have seen a great player with the Houston Astros. His name is Jose Altuve, and again, legendary player, makes millions, and is an incredible talent. And this week, he was struggling quite a bit because he had something called the yips, and the yips is simply this: it's you getting ready to field the ball and make a throw to a particular base or to a particular player, and the ball goes all over the place and you lose total control of your emotion, and most importantly you lose control of the ball. And if you can't make an accurate throw in the game of baseball, it becomes very very dangerous. And for somebody like him, you can see the emotion boiling within him, and as a result he's carrying that emotion into every single moment, and he's unable to perform as a result of this state of what I call emotional spillover. So he's really lost control of his emotional state. And as a result, he's getting frustrated because there's a simple activity, throwing, something he's done millions of times, that he's no longer performing at. And he's starting to struggle more and more because he's starting to ask questions. Why can't I do it? How can I do it? I've done this a million times. What's going on? And what happens is he starts to now see that as an internal failure within himself. And then he starts to see himself as a failure. And then he starts to get frustrated and competitive against that failure. And as a result, everything starts to spin and really get out of whack. And it becomes a very negative situation. So we start to address these kind of situations. But most importantly, any situation in our life where we feel our emotions starting to dominate the moment. Could be in a negotiation, it could be in a boardroom, it could be in a relationship, it could really be in any situation that you're in. It could be self-induced 100% as well. So the way we start the process of correction is to ask ourselves in this moment, what are our most dominant emotions? Or let's just look back to the past month, past 2 months. What are our most dominant emotions? What are the emotions that we have been experiencing most? And then write them down. For some, it may be anger, it may be frustration. For some, it may be excitement, because a performance activator could be excitement, but a performance inhibitor could also be excitement too, because you're so excited that you're almost bigger than the moment and you're getting adrenaline surges that are taking you away from performance. So, what are your most dominant emotions? And as I go through this, keep a notepad next to you. I keep these on my desk all the time, and just take a few notes. What are my most dominant emotions? Okay. Next, what are your most costly emotional states? So, for some, they may find that overwhelm is a very costly state. They may find that, or you may find that the feeling of frustration is a very costly state, where somebody else may say, hey, frustration activates me, it moves me forward. So, what are your most costly emotional states? For some, it may be sadness. For some of you, it may be lethargy, being lethargic, being fatigued, so being negative, right? So, what are your most costly states? And what I'd love you to ask yourself is, why is this a costly state and what has it costed me? So what are my most costly emotional states? Why are they costly and what has it costed me? And this is just a little bit of a fun exercise to go through. Now, coach, this is great. I've identified my emotional states that are not suiting me, that are the cost of them. But how do I get out of this? What do I do? So the first thing you do is you understand what our goal is here, right? The goal is to get you into what I call a state of emotional neutrality, where you just are. You're here, you're in a state of being, and you're good. So that's emotional neutrality, where your emotions are not dominating you and inhibiting your performance negatively. So one of the things that we always do first is we must acknowledge our current state. How are we currently feeling right now? What are we currently feeling right now? I am feeling stressed. I am feeling scared. I am feeling nervous. I am feeling angry. I am feeling happy. I am feeling joyful, right? Acknowledge the current state. Let's use the state of stressed and anxious, because that's what a lot of people feel in different moments. I'm feeling stressed. You acknowledge the state. Now I say you breathe out of it using a 305 plus breathing method. What does that mean? It means 3 seconds in, it means 0 hold, and you go right to an exhale of 5+ seconds. So you breathe in, 1, 2, 3, and you release 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you try to make your release nice and smooth. And what you're thinking about is the emotion of stress. As you exhale, you're almost pushing it away from you. You're pushing it away from you, 5+ seconds. And then at the end, when you finish your release, you breathe slowly back in for 3 and then extend the release. So it's not a quick transition. So it's important that you understand that we're doing this in order to reduce the sort of hormonal release of adrenaline that's taking place as a stress response to your current state and your current emotion. So the breathing is super important. And this is to be done in the moment. It's not meant to, hey, I need to take a time out. I need to go to my office. I need to lay down. I need to, create a meditative environment. This is in the moment stuff. While you're on a call, while you're at a meeting, you can do this. And what it does is it allows you to always play from a state of neutral and come from a state of neutral, as opposed to a state of whatever your emotional state is in that moment. And I say, what we need to do is acknowledge the state, release the state. And by doing that, we get ourselves to then focus on a singular activity and a single objective from the release point. So I release that emotion and then I go right to my point, what it is I'm supposed to do, or an action that I'm supposed to take. So we go from acknowledgement to release to focus on a singular activity, action, or task. And when we do that, we then get ourselves in a better position. So this is a formula I put together: emotional neutrality plus a singular focus on a task or execution or an action, plus consistent daily practice of getting yourself back to neutral, will give you more consistent performance over time. And for some, you may not actually be aware of how many times you are elevated and activated, or taking on a certain emotion of anger, rage, frustration, stress, anxiety, overexcitability. And I'm using these, I know they're pretty negative emotions, because they're oftentimes what we feel most, and they have very harsh consequences. Happiness is a condition that many wish that they had more and more. So this exercise is designed to bring you back to emotional neutrality, which will bring you closer to the desired state of happiness, okay? And I'm gonna leave you with this. When working with high performance athletes, the goal is to get them into a state of emotional neutrality, where their emotion is not dominating their performance and their abilities. This state allows them to always start from neutral, meaning it takes them back to their natural talent set, their natural abilities, and allows them to work from there and really use their talent and natural gifts to excel forward. And in doing this, they're able to focus on a centralized task and execute on the task, rather than executing on working to dominate the emotion at the same time. When you're overly focused on dominating an emotion that's dominating you, you're no longer focused on the task at hand, and it becomes very, very costly in regards to your overall performance. So I wanted to share that lesson with you today and this week, and give it to you as something to chew on, but also something for you to apply. Remember that breathing method. Remember to acknowledge the emotion, breathe through the emotion, and then get task focused on a very singular task. And that will bring you right back to the moment, and it'll keep you in a state of emotional neutrality, which is the state you need to be in to be victorious in life, in business, and everything in between. Coach Dana Cavalea, and I'll see you later, and I hope to hear from you soon. See ya.